All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Replication Hub showcase. I am Luke. I should actually update my Zoom name. I'm Luke, and I'm one of the project leads at the FORRT Replication Hub. I'm moderating this meeting today, as well as talking about some of the projects myself. And if you're wondering what to expect from this, during the next 2 hours, we will present several projects, and you will learn about what we envision for replications and the future of open science and how we try to get there. And for this, we have members from the entire team here in the meeting, and they are experts on the projects that they have been working on for multiple years in some cases, and they will walk you through things. They will give you an early presentation of work in progress tools or present project results. And we have about 15 projects for you today. And like we announced at the invitation, this meeting will be recorded and made public on the FORRT YouTube channel. So all of these projects are part of the FORRT Replication Hub, and the FORRT Replication Hub is a collection of projects that all have one mission. And that mission is to support replications. And with replications, I mean replication in both senses. So people often also refer to replications and reproductions. And in general, this just means researchers revisit past findings and then they test them again in some way and then can do so with the same data. Then we usually say reproduction, or with different data, then we usually say replication. But I think most of us in most of the projects will be talking about replications in general and referring to both types there. So the FORRT Replication Hub is only one of many areas at FORRT, and if you're interested to learn about other projects from other areas, from other pillars or clusters, I recommend that you take a look at the FORRT booklet. We have the link in the bottom right corner. That's a really nice way to learn about all of the areas. And the 4 areas that you can see here, track, explore, conduct, and disseminate, they are derived from common challenges in the area of replication research. So, for example, in the past, it has been difficult to find out if a study had been subject to a replication attempt. So what we do is offer ways to track replications. Then from a meta-scientific perspective, but also as an individual researcher working in a specific field, a way to browse and explore existing replications is really needed and useful. So that's what the explore area is for. Then when you learn about research methods, doing a replication or reproduction is usually not part of them. And lots of different things have been developed during the last decade, like how to pick a target study, how to decide between different replication or reproduction types. Should you try to stick as closely as possible to the original study, or are there ways where you should actually deviate? So can deviation be good? Then how to write a replication report. Is it the same like a normal report, or do you have to think of some special things? All of these questions are questions that we try to answer in the conduct area of the Replication Hub. And finally, replications have been neglected over many years in many areas. There's little attention, little belief updating, few citations, and therefore also little rewards in our current incentive structure. And with the Disseminate area, we are trying to change this. We're trying to make replications count. And in the following, we will cover projects from each of those 4 areas, starting with the track area and ending with the dissemination area. And there will be multiple presentations per area. And then after those presentations, you can ask questions by unmuting yourself and raising your hand before that. But you can ask questions in the chat anytime, and we will try to answer them. We have lots of people from the team here, and while one presents, if you have a question for them, maybe another one can also already reply to that question. And after all areas are presented, we also have a bit of time for more questions, and we will also have a small part on how to get involved if some of what we tell you is catching your interest. All right, so let's start with the tracking area. And for this, I'm giving you a bit of context. And that is that over the years, people at FORRT, lots of people at FORRT have been working on tracking replications in lots of different ways. This has been going back around 5 years. And how we went or how we go about cataloging replications has evolved a lot over the time. It has changed. We have created projects for different purposes. So these range from a list of replications for teaching to a meta-analytical data set to an API-enhanced scalable library. And it all started with Helena and Flavio, who led the crowdsourced project Replications and Reversals. So with reversals, they meant replications that found an effect in the opposite direction. And this is a list of findings ordered by disciplines and subdisciplines. And this includes replications, comments, meta-analysis, and other resources. And while the project itself has concluded, we are currently also working on a follow-up project that uses this data, which we call the FORRT Lighthouse, and which is a visually pleasing and also accessible interface to this data set, with which we also try to enhance the data and to keep working on this. Then in 2022, Lukas and I reached out to Flavio and Helena pretty much at the same time about turning this into a database, which has led to our joint project, the FORRT Replication Database, or short FRED. And then in 2024, we got funding from the Center for Open Science to turn this crowdsourced resource, the crowdsourced FRED, into a double-coded and fully validated FRED 2.0. And in the end, this is covering over 2,000 findings from 1,000 pairs of original and replication studies. Sarah joined us for this and coordinated the team of about 20 validators from all over the world, which was very, very challenging from an administrative point of view. And then replications from one of these projects, they are always part of the subsequent one. And with FRED 2.0 being at a conclusion, we decided to focus on a database that is scalable and could one day, ideally, that's the vision, become comprehensive. And in 2025, with funding from UKRI and Lukas as the principal investigator, Josefina as our postdoc in the project, Hamid as the creator and maintainer of our API, among many other things, and Sophie and many others validating hundreds of studies, we have created the FORRT Library of Reproductions and Replication Attempts, or short, FLORA. And as you can see, we don't have a logo for that yet. And since the last fall, and thanks to the work of a large team, I will elaborate on that in a minute, we have created a database of replications that currently contains more than 2,300 pairs of studies. So that's a very, very brief history of where we come from and where we are going with this. Such a project isn't anything you can do in a few months or with a small team, which requires considerable resources, and we couldn't have achieved this without the help of over 200 contributors. It's such a large team that I cannot even put all the names on the slide. So on the right side, you can see the Tenzing sheet for the database where we track contributions, and it's just a huge team. We were able to pay some of them, for example, student research assistant, but the majority are volunteers, which of course means a lot to us. We are doing our best to meet with the team and have a good time, like we did last fall, as you can see on the picture, during a hackathon. Also this spring, and there will be a third hackathon sometime this year. And lots of them are also here in the meeting, so thank you very much for your commitment. Thank you for making all of this possible. And I really cannot express how happy I am that there are so many people willing to contribute to these projects. This is really, really wonderful.